Good evening, everyone. My name is Keisha Williams, and I am the Director for Parent and Family Relations. My office acts as a resource providing programs, communications, and services to incoming Blue Jay families. And most of all, I get the opportunity to work with Blue Jay families. Tonight's webinar, KSAS 2.0, Understanding Virtual Student Engagement, is another opportunity for KSAS families to understand better the academic and social experience that their student will experience during this fall. Before we actually start, I'd like to go over a few ground rules. We will have a Q&A at the end of the session, but please feel free to ask us questions throughout the webinar. Also, if we don't get to everyone's question at the end of the webinar, please feel free to contact me at bluejfamilies@jhu.edu. At the end of the webinar, we will also provide all of the panelists' contact information so that you have an opportunity to contact them further. And lastly, please defer to the chat where we have provided some resources for you to defer to after the webinar is over. I'm really delighted that you get an opportunity, or that we all get an opportunity, to go over this material once again to ensure that you understand all the support services that your student and you as a family member will have through their KSAS experience, Krieger Arts Sciences. And now I'd like to, without further ado, I'd like for one of our first panelists to begin the panel discussion, or to introduce themselves. I believe it's Jessie.
Yes, thank you, Keisha. Hi, my name is Jessie Martin, and I'm the Assistant Dean for Academic Advising with the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. I also oversee academic support programs like Pilot, Learning Den, Study Consulting, and I also run the Introduction to Hopkins Arrive and Thrive. So if you have any questions, about advising and academic support, or the freshman seminar that we run, Introduction to Arrive and Thrive, Introduction to Hopkins Arrive and Thrive, you can ask me, any of those questions. I'm also here to kind of deliver a little bit of the overview about, basically how we're planning to support students both inside and outside of the classroom. So I want to give you a little bit of a summary about what faculty have been doing this summer and how they are prepared to teach remotely. So pretty early on, in June, we had decided that we were going to be hybrid, to offer this hybrid experience should circumstances allow us to do so. And we were very hopeful that that was going to happen. But even when we were in that situation, we had about 2/3 of our Krieger School of Arts and Sciences classes were still planning to be online. And every course, 100%, we're going to have a virtual option for students to participate in. So we've been working all summer to actually prepare for online teaching. Even though we sent out the announcement in August, most of our faculty have been working with the Center for Educational Resources team to learn how to teach online, to give assessments online, and to utilize the new platforms and studios that we have created. So we have heavily invested into teaching studios, something new from the spring that we didn't really have. And so these are, well-equipped professional studios, fancy whiteboard, professional studio grade microphone, equipped with instructional technologists who act as like production assistants for faculty, for them to be able to deliver their classes in a professional way. So most of our faculty are coming to these teaching studios to deliver their lectures, and they'll have tech support on hand to be able to do so. So it's really exciting. I've seen pictures of the studio spaces. It's top-notch, high quality. And I think it's gonna be a big difference between what was happening sort of in the spring when we were in this emergency situation to where we're going to be this fall. In addition to the teaching studios, faculty have also invested a lot in software platforms. So they are purchasing, some are ready-made specific to, biology or chemistry, in order to deliver their labs or their lectures or provide, content for, reaching the learning objectives. Some have been special made. The neuroscience lab has created its own app for its class. So there's been a lot of investment into different platforms. I believe they're using SmashCut for the film and media studies program. And one of the benefits is that a lot of these software platforms are used by professional filmmakers, professional biologists, professional neuroscientists. And so the students are able, even as freshmen, to kind of learn these platforms and resources that professionals in the field use. The faculty have been working with the Center for Educational Resources team all summer to not only learn how to use these platforms in teaching studios, but also just best practices on how to teach online, how to give assessments online. Most faculty, if not every faculty member by now, has worked in consultation sessions with the Center for Educational Resources team to talk about how they're running their course and what they should change and what's the best practice in the field for remote learning, and then they're working to meet those goals. Faculty are creating both their classes, they're setting them up in ways where they can utilize both synchronous and asynchronous methods to teach the courses. It's completely up to the faculty member regarding how they are going to run their class. And a lot of that is results from the way that the courses need to be taught. Like there's some really small discussion-based courses which are going to be 100% synchronous because that's the way that the course is meant to be taught. Language courses, there's definitely a need for some synchronous components there. Some of our high-level lecture style or our freshman lecture classes that are kind of high in number, like chemistry, biology, calculus, they're incorporating both synchronous and asynchronous ways of engaging. And so what you might see is that the lecture is recorded and asynchronous, and students kind of prefer that because they can actually maybe slow it down and stop and start the lectures, and they get the most out of them that way. But then the discussion section or the practice session that goes along with the class is going to be synchronous and in small groups so that there's more interaction in those large style classes. We also have lots of faculty members who are adding office hours, more than they would have as opportunities to engage with students outside of the classroom, or they're coming into their discussion sections, which are usually taught just by TAs, and making an effort to kind of make more opportunities to create relationships with students. In addition to having the professor be more available, we've also added lots of teaching assistants into classes where there weren't before, just added more so that the student can engage with the faculty member, they can engage with the teaching assistant. And in our math classes, which we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes, have embedded Pilot, which is our peer-led, really like a supplemental instruction that's peer-led. For all of our math classes, students will have the ability to engage with faculty, the TA, or an upper class peer mentor for a practice session with math. And one thing that we have been telling all of our students is, try to get into a class that is a small section size that is meant for student engagement. We've doubled the amount of Introduction to Hopkins Arrive and Thrive classes. We have a new series called the Hopkins Faculty Seminar Series, where we have, really senior faculty members who are teaching sections as large or as small as like 10 to 15 students, which is really like this introduction to academia and a way for freshmen to get connected with senior faculty members in their first year. In addition to that, we have lots of other freshman seminars. We have Heart and Soul classes, which are special topics, small enrolled section sizes for students to get to know each other and then get to know their professor. And so I think every student should try to get one of those classes so that they can just be sure that they're making connections with others in the virtual environment. One of the biggest questions that we've gotten is, how will labs be run? And I went and collected 3 examples for you. Every faculty member is, creating their own unique plan. So every plan is going to be completely different. One of the common threads, however, is that the labs are still going to meet all the learning objectives that they normally would for the course. The way that they're going to achieve them, however, is going to be slightly different considering the situation of virtual learning that we're going to be in for the fall. And so through the use of like video demonstration and simulation, they are going to be teaching the techniques of the lab. There's going to be a lot of focus on like decision making in the lab, and there's going to be a lot of focus on learning platforms, data analysis, and reporting techniques. Biology is a great example. It's synchronous. They're offering labs, at various times of the day to accommodate all the students in different time zones. They are going to have a semester-long project, and they're going to work synchronously in teams on this project. But the professors are going to be on campus kind of, acting as their hands. And so they're going to be collecting soil from the Homewood campus, and there's going to be this semester-long experiment that the whole class is going to do together. And while the students can't be there to actually dig in the dirt, the faculty members are going to do it for them. And they're going to, however, sort of have the students be the drivers of, okay, so now what do we do next? And now what do we do? It's sort of having them simulate as if they were there making the decisions in the lab. They're also going to have lots of video demonstrations of lab techniques and other software that they're going to be using to practice lab simulations. And this picture actually, Professor Perlman from the Gen Bio lab gave this to me. She's opted to have a studio in her lab so that she can be familiar with all of her equipment there. And then she has cameras kind of demonstrating what she is doing. In contrast to biology, chemistry Gen Chem lab is going to be completely asynchronous. They are using software called Chem 21 Labs. They're going to focus on video demonstration, decision making, and data analysis. And physics, very similar to chemistry, but they have these special design at home experiments using common supplies that everyone has, like sensors in your cell phone and other things that you have lying around the house. So they're making some interesting sort of at home physics experiments, safe, I'm sure, but just ways for students to be active and to do the hands-on learning that they would normally do if they were on the Homewood campus. So that's a little bit about what's going to happen inside the classroom. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about how we're supporting students outside of the classroom. So academic support programs have been expanded to include more pilot sessions. Pilot is sort of like a supplemental academic experience, is the best way that I've I've been able to define it. And it's very popular. We have usually like 50 to 80% of all freshmen in every class that we support signing up for Pilot. And we've always had a problem with meeting the need of the Pilot leaders and enough space for these students. So we really work to increase the amount of Pilot sections we're able to offer. We were able to embed Pilot into what we call the 7 service level math classes. So Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, linear algebra, differential equations. This is now a part of the course and is required of all students. So where students were kind of fighting to get into the sections before, everyone has to be in a Pilot session, which the students really like. I mean, we're at 80% of the classes in previous years, 80% of the students participating. In addition to that, we've increased the funding for Pilot to offer 15% more Pilot sessions, and we've been able to reduce the session size, which could have been as high as like 13 students on campus. We have brought that down to about 8 to 10 because it's going to be online and it's going to be in a virtual environment. So it's just easier with the smaller group you have to, develop relationships and to really just participate in active learning. In addition to Pilot being a source of academic support, it has been a source of community building and development. Even when we're here on campus, it's a way that freshmen meet other people and get connected to upperclassmen. So we're really excited that we're able to just provide more of this resource to students. We also have an individual tutoring program that we have created for students who demonstrate a need. So if they're struggling, they can be referred by their professor, their TA, their academic advisor to receive individual tutoring in a particular subject. And we also have group tutoring, and we used to require that you have an appointment and that there was this schedule, but now we've made it much more flexible. We've added more group tutoring opportunities like a neuroscience help room. And we have changed the model to drop-in so that students can just, they don't need to make an appointment. There's no barrier. We're going to advertise, the sessions really, really well and make sure that students know where to go if they need help with their homework. Like they could be working on their homework and just drop into a session and get help from a tutor. Additionally, academic advisors will be meeting with every student for a one-to-one appointment in October. We will use this time period as a check-in for students, and we will, connect students to resources if they're having problems with connectivity, if they're having problems, with the online learning environment, if they need an individual tutoring, we'll resource or referral, we'll talk that through with them. So that's something that we're really counting on to kind of get in there, and those appointments will start on October 1st. And then we also have a system set up where faculty will continuously be reviewing student progress and submitting sort of like early warning alerts through this software platform that we have. And we created a flag called remote attendance, remote learning help, but we also have the student just is in danger of, that they're struggling. So we have 2 different flags that faculty can raise. And when the faculty raise those flags, it goes to the academic advisor who proactively contacts the student and allows, and basically, the student and the advisor meet and they work through the problems and they, figure out what the best solution could be, and they sort of connect the student to the resource. And then we have an extensive virtual drop-in schedule that's going to begin on August 31st. We have drop-in hours anytime from 11 to 3. Monday through Friday, where a student can just drop in and meet with any advisor on duty. And we've also made on Wednesdays special hours outside of those times for international students. If there's that 11 to 3 might literally be in the middle of the night for some people. So we have some early morning hours that we can do on Wednesdays. And then if anyone is outside of the time zone or it just doesn't work with your schedule, you can meet with your academic advisor at any time, make an appointment with them at a time that's mutually convenient for you both. So it might be at 8 o'clock at night if that's best for your time zone. And then finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, the co-curricular experiences. And we have some people here from student leadership and involvement who are going to talk about this a little bit more. But I wanted to share some of the information that we've shared with all of our students in our first advising meetings. We are really encouraging students to continue to participate in co-curricular experiences. We're still having them. So this shouldn't be thought of as just doing your classes, and that's it. Like, we really are pushing students to become involved, even if it is in a virtual landscape. Some of the things that, are coming up, we have a student involvement fair where students are going to get to meet other students and student clubs and organizations. That'll be a virtual event, but student clubs and organizations are still going to exist, even though we're not on campus. University experiential learning has encouraged every office on campus to create virtual jobs for students. My office employs about 400 students. We are employing even more students because we're online. So there's a lot of jobs out there that exist for students, even though we're not on campus. And they've also created this new platform called Smile, where students can look for internal jobs and internships. And then Handshake is for external jobs and internships. There's still research opportunities. There was a policy that undergraduates could not be on campus to do research, but students are signing up for research, and it's a requirement for many of our undergraduate degrees. And so, similar to the way that labs are being run, research is those are the kind of research opportunities for students. So instead of kind of being in the lab, there's a lot of, peer review, journal article reviews. There's a lot data and analysis work that students are doing, but they are finding opportunities. And so we've told the students basically, how to get those and how to look for them and to still pursue them, even though they're not on campus. And in the same vein, the Center for Social Concern is, volunteer opportunities are looking for people to volunteer, whether it's locally or virtually. And we got word from our pre-professional advising office that they too were seeing that even hospitals and clinics in the area were opening up their doors to volunteers again, starting as early as in the summer. So there's clinical experience that students can also be doing locally that's going to help their portfolio, even though they're not on campus. So that's kind of the summary of like the academic, experience and how things are going to change. Keisha, who's going to, I think we're going to turn to maybe Emily, who is going to talk a little bit about, Laura, we're going to turn it over to Laura to talk a little bit about social engagement.
Laura, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Laura Stott. I'm the Executive Director for Student Engagement here at Hopkins. And in my role, I work with all the student-facing engagement opportunities in student leadership, programming, the arts, and digital media. So we really put together a robust calendar of passive and active virtual programs for the beginning of the semester. That is with the Dean of Student Life Office and all of our colleagues here on the phone with Homewood Student Affairs. That includes extra office hours that we have through Calendly. Students can sign up to meet with us for student organizations or for events through Hopkins groups and through Calendly appointments through our social media and through our calendars. We also have chat rooms through Discord Another chat profiles that student organization leaders or students interested in media for the Digital Media Center can find help and kind of connect online. A lot of student organizations are also connecting socially. And we have a really great tool in kind of connecting students called Hopkins Groups. And I have some screenshots here to really see every incoming student is given a profile, and that's upperclassmen and first-year students. And in the profile, students can really articulate what their interests are and this young woman put down kind of her volunteerism interest, health and wellness, leadership development, some of the academic interests in STEM. We do have a lot of great opportunities for a lot of hackathons and different events. So this is really a great way to put an interest for social connections for other students. So this platform will help connect you to individual students that have interests like yours and suggest a friendship or possible connection of like, hey, Susie has a similar interest that you have, maybe you want to get together. So, and you can see there's a connect and message button here on the chat, so you can message individual students, and if they're interested, they can give you access to the profile and connect in that way. There's also great ways to connect in terms of passive interest, in terms of sports, what you're looking for, if you're looking for collaborative interest or academic interest or finding new friends. But it's a really great way as you kind of populate your profile. The more you populate, the more it will connect, and we'll talk a little bit about the involvement fair and how this will really help us connect to student organizations for interest as well as students on campus. The new Hopkins Groups will also really connect you to engagement opportunities with programming calendars and newsletters and different ways to connect with others. Again, there's kind of the passive programming for those that just want to come and watch and see. And then there's those that want to participate. There's other programs as well for kind of active engagement with our students. So, yep, our virtual involvement fair, we're doing it for 3 days this year. Again, it's going to be virtual. So what our students are doing, student organization leaders will be there all 3 days. We have times in the morning, afternoon, and the evening on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So student organization leaders, if they sign up to be tabling at the fair, we call it tabling, and usually our students are in the rec center with all these hundreds of tables, and they're sharing tables, and they're really cramped, and they're talking to those that are walking by. Nikki's smiling because she knows what that's like being a student leader. So this year, everyone gets their own table. It's a virtual fair, so members and leaders of that student organization will be there in chat rooms to connect with students. Those that are in the performing arts will have ways to connect and kind of showcase their talent and their art, or if they're in an academic group or recreational sports organization. So it's a really great way to kind of connect face-to-face with students. We have unlimited fairs through this system, so we can do multiple fairs again in the future, but it's a great way, again, to connect face-to-face and have those opportunities also over 3 days based on your academic schedule and your social schedule to find time. We typically have a block party as part of their social opportunities to connect as part of orientation. And so since we are virtual, we're doing a kind of get down block party on Saturday night. So we're going to have that from 9 to 11, the get down, which will be DJ and kind of different programming opportunities to kind of connect socially with students as well. We use a lot of virtual programming opportunities. So we have everything from Facebook Live to Microsoft Teams to different opportunities to kind of stream and engage. And there's also a lot of chat features. So if students are watching a film, they can kind of chat with the film on the side, or if they're engaging in breakout rooms or they're doing an academic competition, they can break out. So really great ways, again, to get involved with your student. And then lastly, another great way to get involved, a lot of people are doing Minecrafts of campus, and so Hopkins is opening up its own Minecraft. Do you want to go to the next slide? So Hopkins Minecraft, our students have already started building it. We already have Gilman Hall built. And that's the exterior and interior of Gilman Hall you can kind of see, which is really fun. So the Association of Computing Machinery, a student organization, and one of our teams, the Digital Media Center, are working together. So students can kind of use their technical skills and engineering skills to build elevations, creative skills in terms of what they remember of campus and looking at different designs to build the entire campus. And this really allows our students who are virtual to have programs in Affinity. You can host events. You can even meet with professors and walk to the professor's office and click on their door panel with their name panel, and it'll take you to their office hours or their website. So it's a really great way to socialize as well. So we've already started building the campus, and we're hopefully, a lot of universities, especially Ivies, are doing this. So we're super excited to have this opportunity for our students to engage kind of through gaming and kind of through that release for our students. Even if you don't want to help build the campus, you can participate in the campus as well, and even do tours and other ways to engage, which kind of gives us a virtual campus for students that can't be there Again, this is one of those really great opportunities that are kind of open all the hours for our students that are international and domestic to kind of put their time in. But we're really excited this will be up and coming this fall, something to look forward to and a great way to engage. Thanks. And next, I think we have Emily.
Hi, good evening. It's so good to be with you tonight. My name is Emily Calderon, and I serve as the Executive Director for Student Transitions and Family Engagement, which oversees both new student, incoming transfer student, and family orientation. I wanted to talk a little bit about the upperclassmen peer mentors, the first-year mentors that are available to your student and should be working with your student since the beginning of July. This is a leader who is someone who has been engaged in student organizations on campus, has a good lay of the land, who has a 3.5 GPA or higher, so someone who has done really well academically at Hopkins, and is essentially there to help guide your student over the course of the first semester so that they really get a sense of what the academic culture is like, what the student culture is like, and then also what opportunities are available for students to become engaged, whether it be research, clubs, organizations, art performances, etc. This is actually different for us this year. So typically our first year mentor spends about 6 days with the new students on campus when they first arrive. This year we've designed it to be a much longer and more involved process for students because we really want to make sure they have someone that they can consistently turn to ask questions of. The peer-to-peer knowledge is something that our incoming new students report year after year is truly valuable to their transition to Hopkins. So it's something that's really important to us. I would also say to you that we are working to develop an RA interaction role for our resident assistants. So those are undergraduate students that live in the halls and serve as another resource to your student. Since we won't be on campus, we're looking for a way to really have them interact socially, bring together smaller groups of students so that there's an opportunity to meet groups beyond your first year mentor group and outside of classes, which is another big way that students meet students, as well as the clubs and organizations that your student will get involved in. So we hope to have more information about that role shortly. I also think it's really important for you to hear from the students. So this is, students who have been through the virtual learning experience in the spring, who are involved in campus. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Nikki Gander, who's class of 2022 and double majoring, to talk a little bit about what her experience was like in the spring.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikki Gander, and as Emily said, I'll be a junior this year, double majoring in East Asian Studies and Anthropology. I'm involved in a wide variety of student organizations and clubs at Hopkins, including the first year mentoring program, where I've really enjoyed leading those orientation meetings and getting to know the incoming class. Well, I can't speak for every student who experienced online classes at Hopkins this past spring. One of the things that I thought was really great about the online platform was that classes became more discussion and conversation based, at least for me. And the topics of these conversations shifted to both acknowledge and explore the real world situations that my peers and I faced. Another aspect I really appreciated was the chat feature on Zoom. My comfort level with speaking up in class fluctuates a lot, so the ability to ask and answer questions by typing took away some of that anxiety for me, and I know some of my other friends experienced similar things, so this was a really nice kind of change of pace in the online setting. Further, professors and students tended to be very understanding of each other, and almost all the lectures from my classes, all of the discussions were recorded and posted online. One of my professors even shifted the time students had to complete the final exam based on their time zone. So while I, as well as everyone at the university, would have preferred to be in person both last spring and this fall, overall, the online experience was a pretty positive one.
So we'd actually like to take some questions at this particular moment for our chat. So if you have questions, we're going to have Keisha lead us in the Q&A, and we want to make sure that we hear from you and really answer the things that are in the front of mind.
Thanks, Emily. This first question is actually for Jessie. The question says, there seems to be an uneven number, I guess, of advisors to students. And can you explain a little bit more, I guess, how advisors are assigned or why it may seem like there is an uneven number of advisors to students?
Yeah, so I can explain that. We have two different models of advising. We have what has always been our traditional model of advising, which is a large caseload model. And then we, about a year ago, created a success coaching model of advising, which gives more students individual attention and is a model that, is more about like coaching and advising rather than just, delivering information and connecting students to resources. This is really the way advising is going and is really like a best practice in advising, and we're slowly building out that program. Right now, we have offered success coaching, academic advising spots to all of our first generation limited income students, and are giving those students the resource first. And it's our hope that we can continue to add more success coaches, academic advisors as time goes on to slowly transition to a model where we have less students per academic advisor. And that's probably why, like, if you have a friend or, someone that whose advisor has, a much smaller caseload, it's because they're probably working with one of our success coach academic advisors. Some of the things that, and this kind of leads into another question about sort of how do you get in touch with your academic advisor? How do you get the information that you need? So I can kind of just lead into that a little bit more as well. As we've been building the success coaching program, the traditional advisor caseload has come down. It used to be like 150 students. And so we're really working to try to reduce the amount of students that each advisor has so that we can give all of our attention to students, because the transition in coming to college is so important for students. And that's something that, I really believe very strongly, and we're just working our way. We're just trying to get there. What we have done in the interim is to, build more group advising sessions. So we did several group advising sessions this summer where students were able to kind of log in, via Zoom in a group format with their academic advisors. We just did a first meeting, which sort of told all of the information, kind of some of what I told you about how classes are going to be and some recommendations and important dates and information. Every academic advisor gave their student written feedback about their schedule in the form of a schedule review. And students are able to make appointments with their academic advisor, and academic advisors should be responding to student emails within 48 hours of receiving the email. So if those are experiences that you didn't have, then I would probably want to know about them. And you could probably email me privately about that, and I could kind of look into it for your student and get your student, better connected. They're going to flash my contact information at the end of this demonstration, but it's really easy. It's jessie@jhu.edu. And you can just send me an email, and I will be able to respond to any inquiries that you have about that privately.
Thank you, Jessie. Nikki, what advice do you have as a student for families of incoming freshmen of how they can support their student?
Yeah, so one of the things that really helped me this past semester was I was having constant conversations with my parents as my needs shifted throughout the semester. So as finals were starting to happen, I would say, like, I need this block of time to be quiet. Like, please don't knock on my door. It's nothing personal, but I really just need this time to focus. So making sure that I set those boundaries and that I communicated those boundaries was really helpful for me. Yeah, just open communication and then making sure I took care of myself and set my boundaries and made sure that my family knew what was school time and what was family time and stuff like that.
Thank you, Nikki. My next question is for Laura. Can you explain how the student involvement fair will work since it's now spread across 3 days and virtual?
I'm muted this time. Yes, I got it. So the involvement fair, how it'll work, student organizations populate information in the Hopkins group system about who they are and what they do with keywords, with links, and some of those words that the young woman had put down as some of her interests. And then students will also put down what their interests are and what they're passionate about. So they log into the Hopkins group system during the login time. They can sign up online. Hopkins Groups is free. They get registered, they sign in using their JED, and they can sign up for the appointment to attend the fairs. And then when they log in the fair, they log in Hopkins Groups, and they will be matched in the beginning of their portal. They will see matches that link the student organization to the student interest. So those will show up first in your queue. But if you have a passion for mathematics or for debate or for dance and the different genres of dance, you can look for those groups individually, but those will also be queued for you to connect. So you can have those opportunities to step in, and when you click on the student organization, it will go to their live tabling. You'll be able to connect with them and meet. Or if you want to search for someone individually, or maybe you go the first day and you want to follow up with someone the second day, or maybe student organizations might also have different leaders at each day at the tabling. Across the 3 different days. So if you really want to meet the president or the marketing director or a member, you can do that. There's also, I forgot to mention, we have 3 orientation shows for our students that are interested in the creative arts, which a lot of our incoming students are, looking at convocation and some of our talents of our incoming students. We have something called O shows or orientation shows. We'll be doing 3 of those virtually, and we have them in dance, a cappella, and theater. And dance will be hosting 2 shows on Sunday, September 6th at noon and 8. That's a cappella. Dance will be Monday, September 7th at 8, and theater is Friday, September 11th at noon and 8. And all of those will also be online on Hopkins Groups, but a great way to showcase the many talents of our students interested. It's a great program to come see, but also participate in and enjoy. And that's also another great way to get involved and learn more about our programming arts. We have about 58 arts organizations on campus.
Thanks, Laura. And I just wanted to follow up a little bit more about the Hopkins Group. I know that that is a system that we're really leaning on, that for our students to really utilize or to maximize, to learn about all of the programs that are going on. Can you just give a quick tutorial of how students can navigate that system and really make it work for them to learn more about student organizations and all the different programming that the great programming that's going to happen this fall, if they really want to be involved and know what's going on?
Yeah, we have almost, I think last I looked today, it was like 156 or 180 events already posted in the position. So there's a great calendar that students can click on. Again, there's different genres depending on what they're interested in. We'll be developing an app that students will have on the phone that'll have everything from we connect to the hub, which is also, there's a weekly posting for students and faculty of different art lectures or things happening on campus. It'll even have like the bus schedule on there. We're trying to populate it with some really helpful things for students. There's a lot of passive programming of different lectures or ways to connect. There's also, I mentioned the hackathons. We have several, I think 4 right now, Med Hacks, Hop Hacks, there's a Music Hacks, there's a Green Hack for green. So it's a kind of problem solving and developing different techniques with our students and connecting together. And there's a lot of different ways and a lot of these activities that'll still be happening online. So all of those are posted. There's also general body meetings and connections. So if you're interested in learning more about an organization, you can come to one of their meetings and connect to an individual meeting or a general body meeting to kind of get to know like people. They'll also be hosting, again, passive entertainment events like movies, trivia night, gaming, bingo. There's kind of all different things that'll be happening online that students can kind of connect to and kind of peruse. And if you're not finding what you're looking for, we have several, we'll probably have about 20 student workers and student leadership and involvement under Calvin Smith's team that'll be able to, as peer counselors, to kind of connect and help you say, what are you interested in? Let me help you find that. So if you're really missing, if you're used to going to church every Sunday, or you're really kind of looking for that athletic experience and you're having trouble of, you know, where do I connect with that for rec sports, or I'm really passionate about the sport, how do I do that virtually? A lot of the coaches are still giving techniques and trainings, and there's watch parties and watching of games. Even our orchestra is having watch parties and learning different pieces virtually. So there's great ways to connect in that way.
Thank you, Laura, so much, especially hearing that there will be students to actually help navigate other students through the whole entire process, because we know not all students are that outgoing, or at least not initially. So having someone kind of help them if they have certain interests and they're not sure how to tap into those, guiding them through the process. And I will say, I did learn, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, families can sign in too as well, right? They can use that actual, I was in a meeting earlier today, but families, you can actually use the Hopkins Group platform as well. We will be building our own site. You can search us Parent and Family Programs, and we'll house a lot of our events there and programs and communications. And so that's another way to get in touch with us beyond just our website. And so you can log in as well, go to the tab that says events, and help recommend certain programs to your student as well. So there's no excuse why they should not know what's happening at Hopkins. Emily, next question. Can you share how FYMs will continue to support first-year students, and how long will they be available to the groups?
Absolutely. So we are going to have the FYMs available for their student groups through the end of the fall semester, and then most likely through the end of the spring semester as well. Hopefully we'll be back on campus then. So the goal really is for first-year mentors to be continually checking in once a week with not only their group, but their individual students. And then also that we're going to have those FYMs working with RAs to provide supplemental social connections, resources, programs, et cetera, throughout the fall semester.
Thank you. I guess I'll ask Jessie, you know, obviously the semester is going to look different, and though we've had to pivot a little bit, I still feel that there's plenty of opportunities that students can take advantage of being a part of Krieger Arts and Sciences and the opportunities that you listed. Can you share, like, what are some of the new changes that you feel that are even far more advanced or maybe better now that we are in this virtual modality that maybe in person they wouldn't have had the opportunity to be in touch with, or just be more informed about, or what has enhanced? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so and I think Nikki can probably talk a little bit about that as well, just from the student perspective. But from some things that I have heard from students is that, you know, I think there is a benefit to having like all of your class materials recorded. And, you know, I remember being a student and just being like, oh my gosh, if I wasn't on my game paying attention that day, like, or if I had to miss a class or something, like what if you are sick, you know, and what if you do have to miss, or you oversleep, or something happens, like just being able to have all of the content available for you to be able to look at your own time or relook at. I think that is what I had been hearing from students a lot, that they would go back and listen to their lectures again, you know, maybe before the test. And if they were doing their homework and they're like, wait a minute, something's not right, like I'm missing something, they could go back in their lectures and do it again. And I hope that's something, you know, there's all these positive like silver linings that are coming out of the pandemic. And I think that might be one of them for how it's just like, why don't we do this all the time? So I think that is something that I heard a lot from students. And I think that our faculty are very motivated to be engaging. They are bending over backwards and thinking of ways to be available to students, where they might have just posted office hours before, but now they're like really encouraging students to participate. And I think that that's just, you know, a wonderful thing. It sort of sparked this interest and passion that was always there, but sometimes you just need to get rejuvenated by something. So that has been kind of a blessing as well. And like I said, I think there's a lot of offices that are trying to think of different ways to, we're getting more academic support. Like, I think that is amazing. It's been a struggle to build out the need, but now we have a reason to sort of seek funds and resources for it. And so that's been sort of a blessing in disguise. So I think there's a number of different things. Do you have anything that you would add, Nikki, from the student perspective?
Yeah, so my professor, I actually developed a closer relationship with a few of my professors and TAs this past semester, just because they would schedule one-on-one meetings with me, and I would, while we would discuss academics and stuff like that, we would also just have conversations, and they really, really did care about how I was doing. They would always ask how my day was, how my week was, how I'm doing in my other classes, that type of thing, if they could connect me with any resources. Another thing that's come out of this is that I'm now part of 2 different like departmental group chats, which we didn't have before. We have this whole anthropology group chat set up, which is nice because anthropology is a really small major at Hopkins, but it's been nice meeting other people within the major and connecting with them.
Thank you. And Jesse, can you talk more about the grading policy for this semester, and when and how can students choose grades, whether it's a satisfactory or unsatisfactory? And yes, if you could talk more about the grading system this fall semester.
Yes, so the grading system was announced when the announcement about being virtual kind of came out from the president and the provost. And what was announced at that time was that we are going to have a default SU, like satisfactory, unsatisfactory grading system, where students can opt in to letter grades should they want to receive letter grades. Hot off the press, our Howard Academic Council just voted that the deadline for students to make this choice is going to be January 10th. We're going to message this out to students this week, and what that means is that students will be able to sort of know what their grades are and then make the choice. How they're going to do that, we have to still develop. So this is something, we haven't even really communicated this information to students yet, but it is official. And we will be getting that message out to students about the mechanics of this. We have all the way until January 10th to figure out how, but there's also going to be like a lot of educational campaigns. So we're going to be inviting students to come into our office hours. I'm sure there's lots of questions that pre-professional students who are looking to apply to med school or grad school might have. Some of the things that I do know is that SU grades are going to be offered for a, you're going to be allowed to use S grades for major requirements where normally you wouldn't be able to. So it should function in the same way that a letter grade would. So, that's something that, is helpful for students if they want to use it for their major, maybe a writing intensive or something like that, but they don't really want the actual letter to appear. They can choose to cover it. And then once they make that decision, it's going to be final, because we can't change things back and forth in our records because we report out to other agencies like financial aid and the student clearinghouse. And so that's just something that we have to make sure that students are aware of.
Thank you so much. Well, that wraps it up for this particular webinar, but I just want to thank our panelists for sure, sharing their expertise and their knowledge and being so candid. But as always, thank the Blue Jay families. Again, for your patience and your flexibility. We are so happy that we had the opportunity to do this for the families and students of Krieger Arts and Sciences. It's important for us to give you the best experience, regardless if we're virtual. We are working really hard to still have that connectiveness and to let you know that we do care, and we're going to continue to be as creative as possible and engage all fall semester. So, and of course, my office is always here for you. I would like to also invite you again next Monday, January. I'm already skipping to January, August 31st at 7 p.m. It's going to be one of our last family orientation webinars. It's time for your J to soar, so we would like you to join us. You can register at jhu.edu/families. Before we leave, I would like our wonderful panelists to maybe give us some really nice closing remarks.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being here at 2.0, for logging in again and letting us answer all the questions that you have. And, you know, I just want to say that it's kind of like just the beginning. You know, classes haven't even started, and we're trying to anticipate all of the questions, you know, that we might have at this time. Now you all have my email address, so you know that if you have any questions or concerns, you know who to contact. I am happy to answer, you know, questions now and in December. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I love to talk to people, and I'd love to talk to you about any questions that you might have coming up.
Yes, on behalf of all of us, I just wanted to say thank you so much for spending time with us, for sharing your concerns and questions. We really appreciate it. We appreciate that you're a part of our Blue Jay extended family now, and we hope that your student will really enjoy the things that they learned this fall, that they'll make great social connections with their peers, and that you also make sure to connect with us when you have ongoing questions. And then I'd also just like Nikki to say a word or two before we end.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for spending part of your Monday night with all of us. I hope everyone, like your students, or if any incoming students are on this call, I hope you have a fantastic semester. If there's any way you can reach out to me, that's definitely I'm definitely open to that. I can put my email in the chat as well, just if you have any questions for me. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you again. I don't know, Laura, did you want to say anything, or you're okay?
Yeah, I think, you know, as we move forward, you know, we'll look for the gaps and see what our students want and meet those needs and really provide that great experience. And we're so looking forward to seeing them, even virtually, and looking forward to engaging with your students. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you again, Blue Jay families. We are all here to assist and help you and your student. And I also want to do another quick plug to Nikki Gander. She actually is also our parent and family coordinator. So she is here to service you and very committed to our Blue Jay families. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll hopefully see you next Monday. Bye.